Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cloud Conversations. I'm your host, Kat Greenan, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Peter. How are you doing today, Peter?
Hey, Kat, I'm really well. How are you? You keeping well?
Yes, I'm not too bad. You'll hate me for this, but I have put up my Christmas decorations on the
Oh,
weekend. So I'm feeling very, very festive. And I had to convince my other half to let me do it because, he thought it was a little bit early. It's not even December yet. But yeah, so I'm getting
yeah.
the Christmas feeling. No Christmas decorations up for you, I take it.
No, not yet. It'll be 1st of December at the earliest. I wouldn't do it before December, but it's becoming more and more common people doing that, isn't it? So,
I'll be doing it in
but
October next year. It's going to get earlier each year.
yeah. But anyhow, thank you for joining us on Cloud Conversations as always, and it's my pleasure and privilege to welcome our wonderful guest this week, which is Sophie Dimelow. Hey, Sophie, how are you? Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Yeah, really, really good. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Would you mind just introducing yourself to the viewers and listeners? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you came to be where you are today.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Sophie Dimelow. I'm currently a Microsoft Cloud consultant at the Pure Technology Group. So if you don't know what we do, we're an IT solutions and service provider. I've only been in this role for about 7 months, so I'm learning a lot. So Pure are a Microsoft house, so I've been learning the full Microsoft stack and everything it has to offer. And I first started off actually in IT recruitment. So I was in IT recruitment for 2 years, but I chose to specifically specialize within infrastructure and DevOps, and that's where I found my passion for technology and that sort of thing. So I took it upon myself to do the Azure fundamentals and just do a few more qualifications around the M365 stack, and hopefully become a specialist. And that's what I'm sort of aiming to go towards. But at the minute, I am having first conversations with customers, qualifying them, sort of discovering where they are currently within the cloud journey, and putting them in touch with the right people, taking them on the right sort of roadmap, so to speak, so that they're completely secure and enable within cloud.
Amazing. What made you move then from IT recruitment to doing a more technical or getting into a more technical field? What was it that did it for you?
I love a challenge, and I wasn't expecting it to be such a challenge. I think I do say I've thrown myself in at the deep end, and I really have. But I'm one of these people that I take everything in my stride, and I want to learn everything all at once. Which I've gathered within tech, that's hard. That's hard to learn everything all at once. So it was the challenge. It was I'd become sort of in a really good place within IT recruitment, but I knew it weren't my forever role. Where I worked previously, Corcom, they taught me an awful lot on the sales side of things. And then when I started just getting an interest, so I was speaking to people daily, and that were clients and candidates, and they were really, really technical. And I was showing more of an interest in the tech rather than wanting to put them in a job sort of thing. And it kind of got a bit like, I wish I was in the roles that I was recruiting for. So that's what really struck for me. And Pure actually reached out to me and said, we've got this role. It's a new role. So I'm the first, within our cloud practice, I'm the first Microsoft Cloud consultant to come in that's getting trained up. So they were like, we can teach you technically. You've just got to have that ambition and that drive to want to move forward. And for me, it was just an opportunity that I couldn't really say no to. You don't really, getting in to, a tech role, it's difficult. And I don't think, speaking to a lot of people, you kind of land in it unless you've done it at university or whatever else. And I never did. So I hate to say I landed in it, but it is kind of that. And I didn't know if I were going to enjoy it. I didn't know if I were going to do well. But it's just I'm just getting out there and learning everything off everyone and just trying to. I'm like a sponge. That's what I say. Every event that I go to or any training that I do, I'm just trying to be like a sponge and understand it. But I do also think as well, and what I have learned sort of coming into this role is it's forever changing. IT is forever changing, and I don't feel so put back. Going to events at first, I was a bit like, oh God, everyone knows everything and I know nothing. But everyone wants you to succeed, and it is just a case of just keeping up with everything, and just being a sponge, as I said. So yeah, that's it really.
Oh, fantastic! And you describe on your own LinkedIn page actually that your role is very much a hybrid of sales and technical, and you advise on a very wide range of topics in Microsoft 365. Sort of which area are you finding yourself gravitating towards the most at the minute in that hybrid that you're in right now?
So it's a good question, and it's funny you asked that actually, because obviously, as you know, I did my first talk at the South Coast Summit, and I'm trying to go for an MVP award, and I'm working with the guys who run Microsoft Spotlight on what I can do to improve, and doing the extra things out of work and things that will put me in sort of good stead when I'm ready to go for it. And one of the things for that is, becoming a specialist in something. And for the South Coast Summit, I'm doing the new speaker program, and they were sort of specific on, when you put an entry in for a submission to talk, you need to be specific, and can't be varied. And at the minute, obviously, my role is trying to figure out everything. So on calls, I'm asking, everything you could possibly think of, and I know what to ask, and I'm picking things up, but in terms of the specialty, the M365 stack I love, and it's what I talk about, and it's what I came in speaking to customers about initially. But we do a lot with Teams enablement and making sure you're getting the most out of it, and Teams training, and that does interest me as well. And I know that's a topic that some people are now becoming specialists in. So either one of them, either the M365 stack, which I know is a lot as well, so or sort of Teams enablement and cloud adoption that way. But I have been really getting into Dynamics at the minute as well.
Wow.
So who knows, basically. I'm trying to single point something. My mind is saying 365 and going down that route.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to do it, though. You don't want to close yourself off from anything.
No.
So you got to try, especially at the beginning of your career. It's all about trying lots of different things and seeing if that's, the right thing for you. Because I started out in adoption and change management and licensing, and then was like, okay, I'll try this, and then I'll try some other things, and then fell into more of a consultant type of thing because I managed to try lots of different things. I think it's the best way to do it, definitely. But yeah, I don't think I've ever gone so far as to, want to do Dynamics and stuff. So you're fair play to you. There's so much stuff that you're learning. But that's good because there's just more skills for you to have then for your career.
Well, that's it. My love and hate relationship for my mental attitude. Just wanting out. Just most days I'll be just researching stuff till God knows what time, and I'm like, is this normal? Do normal people do this? Yeah, it's good. I'm finding it really interesting, which is nice, because I come to work and I enjoy it, and I enjoy the extra stuff that I do outside of work. It's not a chore, I enjoy it and I'm passionate about it. So yeah, it's going well, I think.
Speaking of the out of work stuff, you've recently been I guess added as or employed, or I don't know how you would say it, as a co-host on the Spotlight podcast, Microsoft Spotlight. So well done. But tell us about that. How did that come about? What kind of things are you going to be talking about? It'd be good to know.
So the Microsoft Spotlight podcast was originally made by two guys called Andrew Moran and John Jarvis. Absolutely love them, and they've been so supportive. And they found me just from LinkedIn, just from the stuff that I was posting on LinkedIn. And what they are trying to do is pass the mic to women in tech. I think at first they wanted the podcast to be around women within Microsoft and people who specialize within the Microsoft stack. So that's how it first started out, and then how they like their experiences with being a woman in tech. But when we did, so I got asked to do that, and I was just on it as a guest like this one. And then they asked me to speak at the South Coast Summit on a panel with them. And from that, the main message what we got was to pass the mic. And it was an audience participation panel, and people were asking us, what can we do? What as a man or as anyone else, what can we do to make sure women feel comfortable in an environment and make sure everyone's getting the same, equality and values and whatever. So we came up with this thing called Pass the Mic. And it's just giving people the chance, if they haven't got one or if they want it, just opening up different things so people have more of an experience, really. So that's why they asked me to be a co-host. They said, we'll pass the mic to you, and would you like to co-host? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, I'd love to. This is another thing about me. I never say no. Which I'm so busy all the time. I'm just like, yeah, I'll do everything. So that's it. So I'm doing a couple. I did my first one. I think it was last week or the week before, and that'll be out mid-December. And that's all it is, just speaking to like-minded women, finding out their opinions on women in tech and equality, and how they got to where they are, and that's about it. But it's really fun. I love doing podcasts and speaking to different people. So it's just talking to the network.
You're well on your way to being part of this community then, Sophie, if you're not saying no to anything, because I think we're all a bit like that. Yeah, but do be careful not to get burned out, though. It could catch up with you very, very quickly. But no, that's brilliant to hear. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think what I've found about the tech community is everyone's so supportive. And I hate sort of saying this story, but basically at the South Coast Summit, obviously because it was my first one, I was really, really nervous, and I was walking to where I was speaking, and this man, still don't know who the man is. So man, if you're watching, thank you. I still he came up to me, and I must have looked nervous. I thought I was going to cry before. Like, I got really emotional, and normally I'm quite confident, but it was just something completely out of my comfort zone. And he came up to me and he was like, "Oh, you're right," just chatting away. I was like, yeah, I'm speaking. I've got my first talk and I'm really nervous and whatever. And he literally said to me, he was like, no one wants you to fail. Everyone wants you to succeed. And all it is the first couple of lines. If you can engage people from them first couple of lines and you can, share your experience and one person relates to it, then you've done well. You've done your job. And I was so happy to hear that, because I literally thought about that doing my talk, and I was like, wow, yeah, that was actually really, really helpful. But even throughout the day and sort of as I've come into this, everyone's so welcoming, and everyone just wants to welcome everyone, don't they? So that's why you're happy doing stuff outside of your hours, and it's fun going to the events and doing the podcast and things like that. So yeah.
Amazing. And just at the South Coast Summit, so it was your first one that you've done the presentation, and I was going to kind of find out, are you usually, are you a confident speaker? And obviously from this story, sounds like not too much, but what did you do then to overcome that challenge? Was it thinking about what that guy said? Some people have different techniques that they use to try and, calm down. And what is it that you kind of did to overcome those challenges and present and do it?
Yeah, I think obviously it's hard coming out of your comfort zone, but I've always had in my mindset that if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you're not going to succeed, especially sort of as far as I want to go. So it was more sort of my mental attitude, and I know that's hard to sort of describe how to do that, but it was just like, you've got to do it. What's the worst that can happen? I was thinking, someone asked me a question and I don't know it, or if people think, oh, she's only been in this sort of a couple of years, whatever. But my advice would be, it's never going to be as bad as what you think. And you might feel nervous. You might think, oh, I messed up there, but people won't know. People don't know you. So as long as you can turn it around and you don't freeze, just do something funny, or just say something like, oh, I've lost my train of thought. Just it's absolutely fine. So yeah, people don't want you to fail. It's never as bad as what you think. Everyone's been in sort of your shoes, and everyone's had moments where they've got to come out of the comfort zone. So yeah, my advice, I know it's not much advice, but my advice would be just go for it.
I think that's great advice. And you always find that if you're nervous before, you feel a bit like, oh, I'm gonna be sick, and whatever it is that happens when you have nerves. And then when you're doing it, you don't realize that you're doing it, and then afterwards, it's just this amazing rush of, oh my gosh, I did it! Like, it's that feeling that I think is, it helps you push. So I think that's perfect advice. And it's definitely. I'd recommend anybody to get out of their comfort zone, although I know it's hard and sometimes. You've recently as well taken over. There's a Women in Tech group on LinkedIn. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's the Microsoft Women in Tech user group. Again, it was Andrew and John and Zoe Wilson who they're still the managers of it, and they still run it, but they asked me to also be a manager. So to take it over, and again, this is to help with MVP and to just help me sort of get my brand and expand my network a little bit. So the group is for anyone. Anyone wanting to get more involved in women in tech events, needing any advice, needing any mentoring around, speaking or just being comfortable within certain environments or being confident. So I've started off doing success profiles, so to speak. I know, Peter, you did one, and it was just some questions around, it was just a survey around some women in tech questions, and if you had a superpower, what would it be, and what advice would you give, and what are you proud of, that sort of thing. And it's just bringing the members closer together, so that we can raise awareness and we can make an impact, and just sharing ideas within, it's not necessarily Microsoft as such, but just within the tech community. So it's just a platform where people can just be themselves and be confident. And we are planning to do events, and we are planning to do, like, I've got a couple of things that I want to do in the new year. So obviously pre-COVID and things, it's been a little bit difficult, but now that we can go out and now that we can meet each other and things, we are wanting to do a big event. But we do have regular catch-ups every single month, about where we want to go with it and what we want to do. So it's exciting. It's just started, so continually just building it up. But it's not just, what I'll say is, even though it's women in tech, it's not just for women in tech. We've got, all kinds of people who are just starting out in tech, people who, are mentors themselves or want to be mentored. It's an open book. It's an open book at the minute.
It's been really interesting seeing the responses to that as well, Sophie. I was really delighted to be able to take part in it myself. And what I realized in reading some of the other responses from some of the people who've done it besides me is it's really what they said is a lot of resonated with me and made me think, God, if I did this again, I might put some different answers completely. It depends where you're at on any given day, doesn't it? How you would answer these things.
Well, that's it. And I haven't really seen much of, sharing other people's opinions and things like that. And I was amazed reading them as well. And they're completely different. And it just shows that people have completely different opinions on the tech community in general and how they want to go about it or their experiences. So for me, it was just about sharing that and bringing people closer together, which I think it did. It was really good. I loved reading them every single day.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely agree. I think it's been absolutely fantastic. But wow, what an amazing collection of things you've been getting up to in the community. Absolutely fantastic. And just quickly going back to the speaking side of things, I always tell people my age on the show for some reason. I don't know why I'm obsessed with it, but I'm 49 and I still get nervous at pretty much everything. Before this show, am I prepared enough for these shows? Am I a work call? And I think you have to worry if those nerves ever go away, really, because it shows you care, doesn't it?
100%. And it shows that you're passionate and you want to, you want to do well. So yeah, I completely agree.
That's the only thing, though, is when you're always doing stuff like that, is you're just constantly in nerves. Like, you're just in that constant state of, oh, I'm going to be sick. I'm so nervous. It's just a constant feeling now.
For some reason, I have a passion for a roller coaster of emotion.
Yeah. A passion for feeling sick.
This is my life now, so yeah.
Oh, dearie. Just on the topic of women in tech. Are there any kind of female influencers or role models that you think has really impacted your career that you look up to?
So one of the reasons why I went to university in Leeds, and I went to the career fair. To be fair, I've always worked. I've worked since I was 14, and all throughout uni I was working. And then before I graduated, I was like, right, I need to get a proper career and whatever else. Mm-hmm. So I was looking way before I even graduated. And I went to a career fair, and Corcom, where I worked previously, they had a massive banner behind them of a woman who was now the associate director of her journey. And you never see that. That's the first time I'd ever seen that. And Georgie, she was here, she was there, and she spoke to me, and I was intrigued, and I asked her, tell me about your journey and whatever. And that was just a role model from that, how she'd gone from, being an associate consultant, like what I went in as, to associate director. But I think also seeing it and them advertising that made me way more comfortable going up to them and speaking to them about it, and the fact that they were sharing the success. I mean, at that time, I had no idea, about women in tech and all that sort of thing. But learning about it and just seeing sort of myself in her and things like that, that really helped. So yeah, Georgie Linsky, 100% one of my role models. Since starting here, I've been working with so Zoe Wilson, Sarah Fenner. They was also on the panel with me, and they've been really, really helpful. Zara Lagerquist, she's also helping me with mentoring, speaking. So them three, I would probably say, are the top in terms of my role models and people that are helping me at the minute. But again, it's not just the women either. I've got massive support from like male colleagues, and like Irfan, he's the cloud strategist here, and he comes to all my events with me and all my when I'm speaking or what I'm trying to do, and he's like, yeah, come on, we're gonna go, we're doing all this. Like, he's so passionate about it. So yeah, I've got loads of people that have helped, and you would, I wouldn't be able to do it on my own. Yes, I go out there and I've started this myself, and no one's really pushed me or introduced me to it. I found it, but now I've done that. I have a lot of support behind me. So yeah.
Amazing, fantastic. So you've had a whole lot of support from colleagues and community members, male and female alike, but which is fantastic. But I'm mindful that not everyone in your position has that necessarily. So have you along the way faced any of the flip side of that? Have you had any challenges so far as a female in the tech industry? And if so, what advice could you give to girls who are starting out their career and may be interested in pursuing a career in tech?
Yeah, I guess in my career personally, I haven't had any dropbacks. I was lucky to have been approached by Pure Technology, and it's not like I've had to go out and try and find a role or whatever. And I know obviously that can be the difficult part for some people. So my advice on that side of things is just to get out there and to network. And for me, necessarily, it's not about the grades that you've got and all the sort of experience prior. Like what Pure said, if you're just starting out and you've got that ambition and they can see that you want to learn, the technical stuff can be taught. So prior to this, I used to do talks within universities and schools about the difference in men and women when they apply for roles and their career paths when they first start out. And there's a lot on the fact that women won't apply for a role unless they've got like 80% of the skills on the job description, whereas men, if 20%, they'll just apply. And this may be one of the reasons why there are more men in tech, or there are more men in certain industries, because they'll just apply for a role and they're confident and they think, oh well, I've got a couple, I can sell myself in an interview or whatever else. So I tried to sort of go out and speak to students and say, if you like the look of the role and you only have a couple of the skills, that's not everything. If they meet you and you go into an interview and and they like you, then you might win over someone else. So me personally, I haven't had any dropbacks. I've been really, really lucky. Everyone that I've worked for have been advocates of women in tech and have wanted women, to be leaders and to do really well. And that's probably why I've got the attitude I have now. So what I'd say is, just apply and just see and get yourself out there and talk to people. Don't be worried about asking a question to someone, higher authority than yourself. Just do it. But I think as well, obviously, we've been in recruitment and speaking to, clients, IT directors and CTOs and things like that, you kind of become just used to it. But I've always been like, I'm just myself. Like, I'm not a techie and I'm not a salesperson. Like, I just go in and I'm just myself. I'll have a cup of tea and I'll just ask them, how the day is. So that's just what I found works for me.
I think that's so interesting as well, the recruitment side of it. Do you find, this might be going a bit off topic, but do you find like the language that's used in the job posts also has like an impact on women applying? Because I was reading this thing where I went to an event day at Microsoft, I think it's called FemTech. You basically go and they do presentations and it's all about, women supporting women. Fabulous event. And they were saying if you have a job post for recruiting for a technical role and they use certain words, that might be a little bit more intimidating towards a woman who might be applying. And I thought that was an interesting angle, because if I see a job post that says looking for a strong, target driven, these kind of words, for me, I think, I would go for it. But there's a lot of women who wouldn't, because it kind of puts you. Do you find that? Do you think that's something that you see as well?
Yeah, 100%. We had some training with CW Jobs, and they basically told us the right language to use and what we should what we should and shouldn't do, basically. And that was 100%. If you use more masculine words as opposed to feminine, or vice versa, then it's going to affect who applies. So it's mad, but people don't know this, and I don't think people do it deliberately. But then they ask the question of, why is no, because I have seen recently that people, they want women, they want more. It's not that now there's a thing of, oh no, like, we don't want women. I don't think that's a thing. It's, they do, and they sort of are open about it. But it's just that question around, why isn't there enough? And I think it goes back to education, and then it moves on to, people aren't applying, people don't feel confident enough. So, but yeah, it's 100% a thing. 100%. Yeah.
That's so interesting, and I can see it as well. Because I wouldn't want to be in an environment where it's very male dominated and it's all about competitive. Competitive is another word that they said. If it's a competitive work environment, that puts people off, especially women can be competitive, but that's not necessarily where you want to spend your day. Comparing yourself and competing with lots of other men. Like, it's just
we already do that far too much.
No, you do it for your rights to get paid the same. I don't want to do that just from to hit my target or something. So I just think it's so interesting. But I think that's a really good point that you mentioned, is awareness. I think HR teams and and the point where you said earlier as well, where you were influenced by the fact that there was a female director level associate that made you actually want to do it. That just shows the importance of having representation in those higher C-level kind of director roles, which we don't see. We will see, I think. We don't see as much, because obviously we're starting from a point where we have not many women applying for jobs, and so the chances of having directors is slimmer. But more education, the STEM programs, the ambassador programs, I think that's going to help. So in the future it will, which will encourage more women. But that just highlights the importance of having that representation.
That's what I've tried to sort of do when I've done my talks, or I've been in and spoke to students and things like that, is women who are in leadership roles need to share the successes. Because I think if I hadn't seen that, I wouldn't have thought, oh, I can do that. And now, obviously, I'm like, I can do anything, whatever. But people don't have that attitude.
Yeah.
But if you can see it, and it's just probably like for yourself, Peter, like when you were younger, if you saw a male dominate, a male leader or whatever, then you'd be like, I can do that. So it's seeing the women, in them leadership roles, and then believing that you can do it.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think I'm quite lucky in sort of going back way long ago to when I started my career now, is my first boss in IT, the person who recruited me for my first IT role, was in fact a woman. And this is in the mid-90s when IT was just sort of kicking into gear, and I had no direction. I had no idea what I was going to do in my career, and I was just working in this law firm as a odd job person, really, sort of doing all the jobs nobody else wanted to do, like the photocopying and the shredding and taking letters around the town. And IT was kicking off, and they hired this IT manager, really lovely lady called Deborah Hayward, and I've not seen her for a very long time now, actually, but she said to me, this is kicking off to the level where I need some help with this. I need somebody to sort of get involved, and would you like to learn it, and I'll train you up? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I never thought of that at all as a woman giving me an opportunity. I thought of it, I'm just being given an opportunity. I didn't think the gender for me didn't come into it, but I guess I've realized that I don't necessarily think the same way as many of as my gender have historically, which is why I've tried to take that forward and use my voice to try and explore that and promote women in the tech industry.
Nice.
So I think that's just going a little bit off piece. There's one of the aspects I think that we all kind of really like about the community is that there isn't really that prejudice. I haven't found anyway. I found it in my working life, unfortunately, but never, speaking to anybody at events or anything like that, or doing any of these podcasts, and everybody's just kind of very inclusive, which I appreciate so much. And I find that agreement with you, Sophie. Everybody's really supportive, and it kind of just opens up and swallows you in, and then you're in this family, and it's so comforting and nice. But what do you think the community really means for you? How important is it for you? And then if you did have any advice for anybody who's looking to start getting more involved in the community, where would you start? Where would you recommend starting, since going through that journey yourself as well?
Yeah, I think the community for me currently is improving my knowledge within tech, and improving sort of my opportunities. And, as I speak to people and I get to know more, I'm hearing different opinions, and I'm hearing, other people's paths. Just starting out, I can't really give advice on, this is how you get to become this person, because I'm just starting out. But it's definitely, being in the community allows me to understand where I can go and what I can do, and how people have created that success within the career and within tech, and also how to being within the network helps me understand how to get more involved in the network and things that I can do to help people like me coming in. So that's probably what it means for me at the minute. Obviously I'm sort of very comfortable now within tech and where I am, and I don't see myself, as necessarily a woman in tech at all. I just see myself as someone in tech who enjoys it and is passionate about it. So being within that, and if I can help anyone going forward, then that'd be great. Obviously the mentoring from the people that I've been mentored by has really helped, and I think that's great within the community that they have that, and they actually have people who do help you, because you can be in a community, you can go to events and things, but for people need to necessarily help you? No, they don't. It's just networking for some people. So it's nice to have that, and it's nice to have that option. I'd probably say for people wanting to get into the community, just speak to people, just ask. LinkedIn's been a great tool for me, figuring out when events are, and just following people who are within the market, who are MVPs and who are advocates for the tech community. And it is just figuring that out. And I think I've been very lucky in a sense that I speak to a lot of people daily, and then I just pick things up, and then I can speak to the right people. But for someone who hasn't got that, my advice would be probably build out your LinkedIn, get to know more events, research events, tech events, whatever you can, and then go out and network and put yourself out there, because I think unless you're in an organisation who really promotes that, then the only other way that you're going to have that chance is if you put yourself out there.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good piece of advice. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like Shia LaBeouf in this video, just do it.
What I've done, and like the people that I've come into Pure, and no one does anything like this. They must think I'm a mad woman. They're like, what, like, you know, why are you doing that? But now loads of people are wanting to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't know, then it's very difficult too. So it's a hard one to say, how did I get into it? Because I don't know.
Just do it. Just go.
I just ask too many questions. Is that's it? And I just approach anyone. I'm probably really annoying. Everyone probably.
That is the best way to do it,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And I still do that, and you never stop learning. I'm always be learning, and I still am, definitely, without a doubt. But something that really resonated with what you just said there for me, though, Sophie, was you said you're quite new to this, and you've had a lot of mentors. But something that struck me when you said that was you're never too young to be a mentor yourself. And is that something that you've explored, or had anyone come to you, and young girls or any young people sort of who are looking to you for guidance?
Yeah, do you know what? It's when you've asked me that, I'd never thought I would never describe myself as a mentor at all. But I get people, so I've had a couple of people on LinkedIn message me about how to get into the women in tech community, and in terms of my user group, they've said, you know, how can I join in, how can I do whatever? And I suppose that's a little bit of mentoring, but that's just me being me, and I'm like, yeah, you know, join this, do this, we can do this together. So I guess a little bit like that, yeah. And I've also had like some male people come and ask me, you know, how did they get involved with it? And I have a call with someone next week, and he wanted to know how he would go about recruiting people like me, and what language would he use, and how would he go about it? He doesn't want to be, you know, the classic, you know, just sending emails and cold calls or whatever else. So he's asked me for a little bit of advice on that. So I guess, yeah, kind of. But I just never saw it as that. I just thought, oh, he's asking me a question, I'll just, you know, reply and just give him my honest feedback. So yeah, I've had a few questions actually. Maybe I'm a mentor.
You are a mentor without a doubt.
Realizing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Influencing all these people.
Yeah, you're never too young to be a mentor, and you're never too old to be a mentee. I mean, I've been mentored by many other people in this community, people younger than me, people of different genders to me, and you can learn something new from absolutely everyone. So everyone's got something to add, something to give, and that's what this community is all about. That's why it's so fantastic, and there's no egos, as you said, Kat. Certainly I've never come across them yet. It's a fairly unique community in that regard, and that we all lift each other up and are generous with our time and support each other, which is fantastic. Long may it continue.
Yeah, I've said as well. So some people who are just starting out in tech have said that they feel like they can't be part of it because, you know, they're not very technical or whatever. And I my response to them is, by you just messaging me, you're already a part of it. Like you're already intrigued, you're already asking the question. That's all the tech community really want. You know, for these events and stuff, you've got to start from somewhere. And everyone's journey, like what you said, will be relatable to someone. And that's one thing I said to myself when I did the panel at South Coast Summit. You know, my journey might be a lot shorter than the rest of the women on the panel, but it's going to be relatable to at least one person.
Yeah, it's still valid, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's obviously a lot going on then with involvement in terms of the community and all the stuff that you're doing. So how are you managing that and saying yes to everything and working and, you know, all this kind of extra stuff? Do you have it? You know, so say, how's the work-life balance? What's your technique? How do you manage all this stuff? Because we always like to learn, because we're all in the same boat, right? We're all doing this stuff.
Yeah.
So any tips and tricks we could get from any guest is always helpful.
So one thing if you saw my diary, honestly, but it's like I'm back to backs. However, I put in everything in my calendar, and I mean absolutely everything. So I've started doing, you know, focus time or admin or if I've got to do a bit of prospecting, I'll do that. Just a couple of emails, I'll at least put something in. And I try, and I know it's hard to try and follow everything. If something urgent comes up, then you've got to prioritize. But that has been something I've had to learn. And I wasn't really organized, to be honest, and you have got to be when you're managing all that. So I put everything in my calendar, and so if my friends or my family or whatever were to describe me, they say I were like 110 miles an hour all the time. That's what I get described as you can probably tell. So I love being busy. Like I don't breathe. I don't stop to breathe. But for me, that really works because I like being busy. I like having stuff to do. If I'm sat at home, and don't get me wrong, I have my Netflix days and I have sort of the Sundays where I'll go on a nice walk and I'll just chill. Unless it's some sort of event, I keep weekends. I don't look on a weekend. On a Sunday night, I'll just have a look through emails, and just for my own clarification, I'm not stressed on a Monday. But that's just something that works for me. But apart from that, 5:30 from Friday to Sunday, I just won't look at it. And that really helps. But during the week, for me, it's right, you've got Monday to Friday, let's get everything done. Like I try to go to the gym, that really helps. I go to the gym every night after work, and that just relieves a bit of stress from the day. And then I'll get home, and if I've got little extra bits of curriculum like blogs, anything that I need to upload on LinkedIn, I'll then do that. But it's just finding, I think, the de-stressors for me. So the gym, I love a bath. You know what I mean? A bath, that's all, with some strawberries or something. Like I love a good pamper. It's just things that make you feel better. So my advice, if you're really stressed, just find things that de-stress you and just put in the time to make sure that you do that. Some things can wait till tomorrow. That's the best I do, and you can't be expected to do everything all at once. And sometimes it does get a little bit on top. So I was going to speak at the Scottish Summit, and the deadline that week I was just absolutely stacked, and I'd only started my new speaker program within, like, it was like on the Wednesday, and the Sunday was when I needed to submit, and I just didn't have time to do it. And I thought it's all right it's all right for this time. I'll still go, I'll still network, I'll still do everything like this and my events that I'm wanting to do. You'll just do it next year. It's absolutely fine. Or start with smaller events, and then you'll have something that you can present what you presented before at something like the Scottish Summit by myself, which would have been obviously a massive step. So that's probably what I say.
Definitely. I think that's a good approach as well. Shutting yourself off the weekend and having your midweek is where you get stuff done. I very much like, that approach of there's designated time that you dedicate to chilling out, your own time, bath, whatever it may be. I think that's really, really important. So Peter, take that advice, because I feel like you're ready to burn out at any second with the amount of stuff that you do. You're online like messaging me like really at 10 p.m, 10:30. I'm like, Peter, chill out, go to bed. I'm doing this licensing book, and it's and I'm like, it's 10 o'clock, and why are you doing licensing? It's like, chill out, Peter.
I'm very, very self-critical, and I always have been, and I've just had to learn to not put too much pressure on myself. And that's just, Peter, don't put too much pressure on yourself. That's it.
I love that. You see, you've both mentored me there. Thank you.
There we go.
No problem.
We're here to help you.
Absolutely. And you're entirely right. I think I'm slowly getting better at it. I'm starting to use my weekends a bit better. I'm switching off more at the weekends, without a doubt. I'm not always great at weekdays, getting up at 6 a.m. usually, and I tend to sort of be switched on pretty much all day in one way, shape or form. So I need to get a bit more structured and organized with that. Focus time is definitely helping, though. I've started to use that a lot to help me through my days. But yeah, I shall consider myself mentored on that.
Dear me. So in your spare time, is there anything, bar the baths and the de-stressing times, is there any hobbies or anything like that you like to do in your spare time outside of the community?
So apart from the gym, but I love classes at the gym, just because they're fun. I like doing fun things. I try and go to the cinema like once a week with my best friend, so we'll always try and catch up that way. And I normally do something within the week, normally on a Wednesday, it's not too strenuous or whatever else. But so, for example, tonight I'm going to like an acoustic night with up and coming bands, and I just try and do something different. And it's something that I don't really have to think about, and I can just enjoy. But I try and just split it up. But apart from that, not really, to be honest. Work. Me time. I find me time so important, and I get other people have priorities, and I don't. I've got myself. That's it. But just having a bit of me time and understanding, you don't have to be absolutely stacked all the time. You can say no, like plans. So, for example, last weekend and this weekend, my friends were asking me to do plans, and I've just been so full on. I was like, no, like I just really just want to chill out, like not by myself necessarily, but go see family and things like that. And that's what I enjoy doing. So I think I've got a good balance, to be honest. But hobbies, cinema. I love watching films. I love Netflix. I've basically seen every series possible, probably. But I get hooked. I'm a nightmare. And then just hanging out with my friends. Just doing something nice on a weekend.
Brilliant. So cinema, film, and TV, that sort of thing. Any sort of favourites that jump out at you that you'd like to share?
What genres are you into?
Yeah,
I can go from like cheesy like musicals or whatever else to horrors to action. I don't really like things with loads of action, like, non-stop,
like Michael Bay.
I'm not really into war films. Like I hate war films. But apart from that, literally anything. Do you know what? I'm like you, Kat. I've already started watching Christmas films. I've watched 3 so far.
Which ones have you watched? Give me this Christmas chat. I love it. Is it good?
Yeah, it's so good,
Because I see it, I was like, I do have a specific genres. I'm not into like rom-coms and stuff. I do like a Christmas film, but I'm more dark. Give me something really horrible and dark. That's just what.
Fair enough.
It's so weird. But I was thinking, it is Christmas. Get into the Christmas like lovey vibe. So I might check it out.
Honestly, the other night, it was like a school night, a work night. I literally got cheese board pate, like proper like Christmas. I even bought athletes and matchmakers, and I was just like,
amazing.
I put my Christmas pajamas on and I watched the Christmas film because that's just what I wanted to do.
I love it.
Was me. And I had the best night ever.
I wish every night was like Christmas night, Jamie's hot chocolate Christmas films, the cheese board. So I love a bit of brie, onion chutney, but I only have that at Christmas because I could eat, like I've just had that for my dinner, like a whole block of brie and like crackers. So I have to limit myself to just have it at Christmas. Otherwise I would just be like a million stone with all this cheese that I'm eating.
No, I completely agree. I'd have a cheese, wine and meat board every night.
Yeah, easily done. Bit of red wine, done, sorted. Yeah.
I love all those
I'm gonna go buy some cheese now.
Yeah, Christmas films, absolutely love them. There's a few that I tend to watch every year. The Home Alone 1 and 2 will be one of them. Elf will be there. The Holiday is a really good one, actually.
I watched that. That's what I watched with my cheese and wine.
Yeah, love that one. And the one that people debate whether it's a Christmas film or not, of course, but it is Die Hard.
Die Hard, yeah. Do you know Bruce Willis said it's not a Christmas film?
He said it's not.
He said it's not, so I don't know how to feel. Because Die Hard 2 is also based at Christmas time. So I was like, is Die Hard 2 also a Christmas film then? So I don't know. But yeah, Bruce Willis has come out and said it's not. And I feel really disappointed because I feel like it is.
Oh dear. Well, he's wrong.
yeah, the star of it is wrong.
Exactly. But the other thing I always tend to find myself watching just before Christmas, leading up to the Christmas special of it, is Gavin and Stacey. Have you ever watched those?
Yeah.
Absolutely love those. And the Christmas special, well, there's 2 Christmas specials now because they did another one a couple of years ago, didn't they? Always love watching those through around this time of year. So I'll probably start doing those soon.
Love Gavin and Stacey.
Fun. So
there is a question on the movie topic. I don't know, Peter, do you want to ask the famous question?
I can do it. Yeah. We did prepare you for this in the pre-canned questions that we sent over for you, Sophie. So hopefully you've had a look and had a chance to think about it. But have you seen, are you a fan of, or do you not care about the Terminator films? And if whatever your answer may be, what's your thoughts on what is the better film? Is it Terminator 1 or Terminator 2?
you're going to hate me for this, but I've never seen them.
That's
perfectly
fine.
acceptable answer.
That's fine. We've had
No.
it. We've had it before. Yeah.
Yeah. However, if we want to mix it up, I am an absolute, and I mean like weirdly, a massive Harry Potter fan. Like I've got I've got like Harry Potter tattoos. I've got like Harry Potter bedding. I've got Harry Potter posters. I'm a freak.
I love this.
What's your favourite Harry Potter film?
I've actually never seen. I've not seen them all.
Oh, right.
I've seen the first 3.
So
So we've like swapped roles.
Yeah.
You've never seen Terminator. I've not seen all the Harry Potter films. I've seen the one with the Gary Oldman in it. That was a good one. What was that one? Where is it? He's got long hair.
2 or 3 of them, wasn't he? Yeah, he was in 3, a little bit of 4, and the 5th one.
It'll be 3 then, because I haven't seen 4 or 5. I didn't know there was a.
The third one.
So out of it.
Yeah, the third one, Prisoner of Azkaban. That's my favorite book.
Yeah, that's the one. I think. Yeah, that's the one.
There's something about that one for me. I just, it's easily my favorite. I love just the feel of it, the tone of it, the characters. The Professor Lupin's my favorite defense against the dark arts teacher. It just feels like the best.
Yeah, cool.
What about
How about you, Sophie?
What's your favorite?
Mine's controversial, but Order of the Phoenix.
What number?
That's a good one.
Number 4.
It's a very good. That's
number 4.
5.
No, Goblet of Fire is number 5.
Don't question the expert on that.
No. Goblet of Fire is number 4.
Prisoner of Azkaban, Order of the Phoenix, Goblet of Fire is that number 4?
It is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Order of the Phoenix.
Goblet of Fire is 4. Order of the Phoenix is 5.
So 5.
Yeah. That's my fave.
I don't know why. I never read the books as a child.
They're on at Christmas. They're on ITV, I think, every week.
I might do a marathon. Yeah. I think I'm the only person that hasn't seen all of the Harry Potter films, but I've seen like Twilight and stuff like that. So I've got my own.
I go on a date and they say I've never seen Harry Potter. I'm like, nah, sorry.
Tap it out. We can't be friends. But after this, I will, because I tell everybody to go watch Terminator. So I will watch all of the Harry Potter films.
I'll watch
the ones that I haven't seen, and then we'll come back and assess.
Yeah, that's it.
See what we thought.
Sounds good.
Really. Wonderful. Well, I think got a hard stop, so it might be time to wrap up the show. But it's been absolutely amazing to have you on, Sophie. It's really lovely to meet you. Before we go, is there anything, how can people get in touch with you if there's anything you want to share or end on before we finish?
So if anyone does want to talk to me about anything or they want any advice, then just follow my Instagram. It's just Sophie Dimelow there, and my email and my contact numbers on there anyway. So just send me a request, and I'll accept.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
We'll pop your information on the show notes of the episode as well. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see them and get in touch.
If you want to put the Microsoft Women in Tech link as well, more than happy to. So the user group, if anyone's interested in that.
Fabulous.
We certainly will. We'll put it all in there, and so everyone can see. But Sophie, it's been wonderful to talk to you. I do hope that we get to talk to you again, and you'll come back on the show and talk to us again and let us know how you're getting on. But thank you for sharing your time with us today. It's been brilliant. Kat, as ever, always good to talk to you too. We are missing Rue. Hey Rue, if you're watching this one, we hope you're well and you're back with us soon. He's taking a little bit of a break, but let's sign off. Episode 34 of Cloud Conversations. Check us out on Twitter at CloudCons365, on YouTube at youtube.com/c/Cloud Conversations, and please do subscribe and like and hit the bell and all that good stuff because it helps us so much. So thanks again. Take care, and we'll see you down the road. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.